Kids do enjoy being scared. It is fun to be scared when you're a child. This episode has a lot more action than the last one. And if I know kids, I know they like seeing things go bing bing, pew pew, boom boom.
Look at this ship. Are you familiar with this craft?
Who is your commander? Is it him?
I will speak for Captain Nero.
Then ask Captain Nero, what gives him the right to attack a Federation vessel?
Do you know the location of it?
Lieutenant Mark.
I'm unfamiliar with...
Lieutenant Mark.
Dreamcatcher. That's the title of Star Trek Lower Decks, Episode 4. It's Dreamcatcher. What's a dreamcatcher? Something that catches your dreams? How's that possible? I don't know. Right off the rip, this is a default, straight down the line episode of Star Trek again, boys. What can I say? Prodigy is playing it safe. We're going on a swashbuckling adventure into the Delta Quadrant, and just like Voyager, we're playing it safe. Any show that has Janeway is by the books, baby. 1, 2, 3, ABC. Take some old scripts, spice them up, put them back on TV. It's good enough for me. Anything that is not completely psychotic garbage is A-okay in my book. This episode is our first away mission on Prodigy. The Protostar is crewed up by our cast of our motley crew, as it were. Dal, Gwyn, who is still in prison, or the brig. Hologram Janeway, Murph, Jankum Pog, Rok-tahk, and Zero, you know? What can I say? The gang's all here, you know? I like the crew. The crew is alright. The crew seems to have good chemistry. I'm liking how their personalities clash in some ways and mesh together in other ways, you know? They're all helping each other out. We're learning to be friends. We're learning about the ethics of Starfleet. And most importantly, we're on our away mission. As I said before, this is our first away mission. The crew has been taught how to operate the ship, and now they're being taught how to use tricorders, phasers. Is it safe to give kids phasers? No. Jankum Pog, the Tellarite character, the minute he gets a phaser, he accidentally shoots himself. Thank God it was on stun setting. I think one major theme of this show going forward is going to be, thank God they didn't kill each other accidentally. You know, thank the great bird of the galaxy that we did not accidentally destroy a planet or kill thousands of people. Did you know that Starfleet technology is dangerous if you don't know what you're doing with it? Did you know that? Did you know that you can cause a catastrophe with any little thing if you don't know what you're doing? So it's not a good idea to have kids playing around with it, you know? Maybe don't leave phasers around for kids, even if they're on stun by default. Bad idea. It's also a very bad idea to just let kids do what they want on the Protostar. You know, any Starfleet ship is first and foremost. It must be said that first and foremost, a Starfleet ship is a weapon of extreme destructive power. Okay, you think of that first in your mind. The ship is not a weapon, but you must consider it first and foremost a weapon of destructive power. The captain of all people must be able to understand that in their mind. so that they're not inclined to use it. Okay? The weapon is powerful so that we're not inclined to use it in the wrong way. One mistake, and we could be affecting the lives of countless people. Okay? Worse yet, we could be breaking the Prime Directive in some way. We don't know. But we cannot abuse the power that is given to us. Kids are not capable of understanding that. Maybe over the course of the show they will learn. That remains to be seen. It is, according to Janeway, Starfleet protocol to explore this new M-class planet, regardless if it's inside the mission or if it's not too out of the way. So they're plotting a course. We find this planet. We have to go down to it. Janeway threatens Dal and says, well, I won't be afraid to contact Starfleet and tell them that you're stealing the ship if you don't obey protocol. Wink, wink. Everything Janeway says, I have this sneaking suspicion that is that it's a little bit not 100% truthful. Like what she's saying, I think it's wink, wink, nudge, nudge, say no more, right? Type thing. And she knows that these kids have nothing to do with Starfleet, and she's just dragging them along, you know. Hopefully one day they would just return to the Alpha Quadrant. I definitely get that suspicion. And that would be good for this show because it means that the kids weren't in any extreme danger. Normally in Star Trek you'd want to have that tension, but this is kind of a kids show, so I don't know. That being said, I think kids would be a lot more interested in this episode than the last one. The last one was very much like a ship in the bottle type episode where characters just moved around the ship and had dialogue. That ain't for no kids. This episode's got adventure. They go down to the surface of the planet, and the protostar lands on the planet. It has atmospheric entry and landing capability. And it lands curiously on one landing gear pad in the center of the secondary hull. Probably at the center of mass. But what this means is that probably in order to maintain its balance, it has to always have the atmospheric landing anti-gravity thrusters on all the time. You remember that from Voyager, where they had like an anti-gravity thruster assembly on the Voyager in order to do the planetfall, like landing. Protostar must have that somewhere on the inside. I still can't find its impulse drive, by the way. Where's the impulse exhaust? Where's the impulse engines? We don't know. Protostar lands, and the crew is informed about this new type of special buggy. It's just like the Argo from Nemesis. I was dreading this moment, and this is the episode that finally happens. The episode with wheeled transport. This is the Runaway, not a runabout. Wink, wink. It's a Runaway. It's a Argo that looks a little bit different. Frankly, it's way cooler than the Argo from Nemesis. This is a cool looking rig, I must say. It's like some kind of a six-wheeler dune buggy type thing. Very cool, but why wouldn't it just be a levitating craft? Like why wouldn't it be an anti-gravity buggy, you know? The technology certainly exists to do it. So they drive away on this thing, and they all go on their own adventure. Very wise guys, split up. First thing they do is split up. They leave the ship, split up. Dal's driving around in his buggy because he just loves driving. Rok-tahk is walking around doing what she oughter. And so is Zero, and so is Jank and Pog. What they didn't realize is this is like the planet from the TOS episode Shore Leave. Remember in the TOS episode Shore Leave, where they go down to the surface of this planet, and the planet has this mysterious function to show them things that are compiled from their own memory. So certain characters will see people from their past, and certain characters will see mythological creatures, and so on and so on. Same thing's happening here, guys. This is just Shore Leave planet. It's Shore Leave planet mixed with that like really early Star Trek Enterprise episode where they go down to this planet and start going crazy because of a storm or something. In this show episode, the planet is like one giant plant creature that may or may not be sentient. I'm not sure. But it's kind of like a Venus flytrap. It attracts things that land on it and then it eats them. Except it's the size of a planet. It's like all a plant. The planet is like its own organism, okay? And it traps its nutrients in the form of biological matter, like Dal, like rok-tahk, like the characters in the show, for example, by showing them exactly what they want to see, lull them into a drunken stupor of ecstasy about what they found, and then wham! Vines encroach their body, and they are consumed by the planet. And that somehow the planet needs nutrients from a few tiny biological entities. What is its main source of nutrition? What is its main diet? Maybe we'll find out in part 2. This looks like a 2-parter, by the way, but I'll get into that later. Jankum finds a hut where it's cooking some kind of stew that he likes a lot, so he's eating the stew. Rok-tahk finds a bunch of cute wild animals that she gets to play with. Zero ends up in a hedge maze, and curiously inside the hedge maze there is a section of the protostar trapped inside of it. And Dal has a hallucination of his parents, okay? He doesn't know who his parents is, he doesn't know what his species is, so the one thing he wanted most was to find his family. So he sees a hallucination of his family. Of course, this is created by the planet. And then Janeway shows up too, even though hologram Janeway said that she cannot leave the ship because she doesn't have the mobile holo emitter. Dal is smart though. See, Dal is crafty. Dal figures out that this is a lie because Janeway cannot leave the ship. And the jig is up. Janeway reverts back to being a plant creature generated by the planet. Dal is scared. Dal fires his phaser for the first time and gets away on the runaway. But holy crap, we need to catch Jankum and rok-tahk and Zero. We can't leave without them. So we go on a chase around the surface of the planet to find them using cool looking tricorders, by the way. Interesting prop if you wanted to build one. We find them all, but hold on. Gwyn was left in the brig. What's going on there? Meanwhile, Gwyn in the brig, once Murph leaves her alone, I'm not sure why this is, but as soon as Murph leaves, Gwyn activates her telepathic powers to communicate across space to that gold sword thing she had in the first episode, and maybe second, I can't remember. It's kind of like this gold goop that forms into a hard object that she uses as a sword. It kind of reminds me of a founder. That goop looks like a founder from Deep Space Nine. Like a changeling. Interesting that it's the same exact color as them. That kind of gold. I wonder if that means something. Probably not. She uses her telepathic powers to summon it, and it moves out of its containment cylinder through the ship and then smashes through the panel that's controlling the brig. Okay, so now with the force field gone, she can leave. She commandeers the ship, remembers that her father, the diviner, who is chasing our characters, told her that she could operate this ship doing X, Y, and Z and hear all the mechanics of starship flight, and she was being, prepared to operate the protostar. I'm not sure why she clued into this now, but we're expected to believe that Gwyn understands how to operate this ship perfectly well. Fair enough. She deactivates the Janeway hologram and assumes manual control. She's trying to fly away with the protostar. And she tries, I believe she successfully contacts the diviner. She contacts her own father, which is very scary because they're after them and are probably going to kill the crew to get the protostar back. But then the planet also wants to eat Gwyn, and Gwyn has a hallucination about her father, right? And her father, in her hallucination, is so nice and loving and wants to see her, but then she knows that can't be what her father is really like, because I don't think she likes her father that much, if you believe what this hallucination is saying. By virtue of the fact that the hallucination is fake, we know that her and her father do not get along, okay? Because the hallucination version of her father is so much nicer, which is very sad, okay? So she knows it's fake, runs away, and the protostar is actually being eaten itself by the plants. The planet wants to eat the protostar. The ship is trying to dislodge itself from these vines, and our heroes are on the runaway, trying to drive the runaway into the shuttle bay. Now, all past Star Trek logic is telling me that we're going to do that crap from Nemesis, where we drive into the shuttle bay at the last possible second and just barely make it as it's taken off. But no, that's not what happens. In a refreshing surprise, the protostar tries to get away. The runaway cannot make it onto the shuttle bay, and the protostar is actually disabled by the vines to the point where the protostar takes off and then crashes in the distance. And we don't know where it went, but we did see a shuttle leave with Gwyn on board and Murph. So Gwyn and Murph are okay. The shuttle flies off in the distance, has a very violent looking scary crash. I was scared for a moment. And then the runaway rendezvous with the shuttle at its crashing point. Gwyn's okay, Murph's okay. We're all one big happy family. But holy crap, the protostar has crashed somewhere. Protostar has crashed. The diviner could be coming because he got the message. And now our characters have to work together to save the protostar and themselves. So we're going to have a family bonding moment next episode, which is good because they want to be friends, but they can't because of the diviner. And because the diviner is the father of Gwyn. An emotionally complex web that this show is weaving. That's what happened in this episode. It would have been a very boring and bad episode if they escaped from the planet, but we did something different this time, guys. We mixed it up, We made it so they didn't get back on the ship. It wasn't a happy ending. The protostar crashed in the 4th episode, which I guess is par for the course, because in Star Trek, if you don't know what to do, you crash the ship. The age-old saying goes. But I was expecting that they were going to make it back onto the protostar and get away, and this would be a self-contained episode. Pleasantly surprised. So it had kind of a scary ending. This is a kids' show. Kids do enjoy being scared. It is fun to be scared when you're a child. And this episode has a lot more action than the last one. And if I know kids, I know they like seeing things go bing, bing, pew, pew, boom, boom. Am I right? So I think just for children, this episode would be a lot better than the last one. Not as fun as the first two. A little bit better than the last one. The character development was not as complicated as last episode. But this episode, I think, makes up for it with the away mission shenanigans, which I enjoy in real life as well as on TV. Visually, this episode has a beautiful planet that they're exploring. All kinds of interesting formations of rock and plants. All kinds of cool flora. We get to see a hedge maze. We get to see Jankum Pog finding what appears to be some type of Tellarite design hut with soup. Very cool. We get to see wild animals that rok-tahk has hallucinated, but I mean, visually we do get to see them, even though they are not real. So this episode has a lot of things to look at. We get to have a lot of good views of the protostar in full, in the distance, landed. We get to see its landing gear. And we got to see the runaway, even though I hate it. So visually, you're getting something here. Story, visuals, pretty good. Things happening, plot, alright. Overall takeaway, just kind of decent. It wasn't horrifically bad, but it wasn't containing a interesting philosophical question for our brains to digest. Nothing to marinate in, if you know what I'm saying. It was good for me. If you watched it, was it good for you? I'm going to give this episode just a 6. I think it's just a solid 6. It just gets you by. It doesn't leave you high and dry. And it ain't no pie in the sky. That doesn't make any sense. What is in store for our characters in the next episode? I've just been informed that Star Trek Prodigy is going to take a break at some point. We're going to have Star Trek Prodigy. I think we're going to have one more next week. And then we're going to have Star Trek Discovery Season 4. And then we're going to go back to Prodigy. There's going to be some kind of break. If you remember the first season of Star Trek Discovery, there was a break in the middle when we went to the Mirror Universe. Perhaps now we're doing it because we don't want to split the fan base up too much between trying to watch Prodigy and Discovery. Maybe it's too much for our brains. It's going to be too much for me because I kind of don't want to watch Discovery Season 4. I'm going to be real with you. If I did not have this channel and I was not telling you guys on Earth through subspace what I thought, I would probably not watch Discovery Season 4. I probably wouldn't watch it. I might look at Memory Alpha Wikipedia articles on what the blow-by-blow is of the plot, but I probably would not watch it. That being said, I have to watch it now. Have you seen the recent set photographs taken from Discovery Season 4, by the way? The uniforms look terrible. They sit bad. When they sit, it crumples around their waist in this weird, ugly way. And these uniforms, they look like something you get at a hospital, and not like for the crew. I mean, when you're injured, it looks like a gown that you would wear if you were in the hospital dying from something. I can't get this thought out of my head, but just go look at it. It crumples weird around the waist. It drapes strange around the chest. It doesn't curve down below the chest in any way, and it just makes people look very boxy and square. It's ugly, man. I'm sorry. Not feeling it. That's totally beside the point. Back on track. Prodigy episode 1, 2, 3, 4. Prodigy episode 4, Dreamcatcher. What'd you think? I'm giving it a 6. What'd you give it? If y'all are following these reviews, and you all are following the episodes perhaps, what do you guys think? Leave some comments, or don't. I'm out of here.